And so either this big money comes to an understanding about who they really are and they understand what Bitcoin is all about, or we're just going to give birth to 10,000 versions of Craig Wright, and all the psychosis that comes with that. I hope that's not the outcome. I hope, I believe Bitcoin will always prevail for those who can see it for what it really is. And, at this point, I'm hopeful that the large institutions that are entering the space don't turn out to be just larger versions of Craig Wright.
Hey guys, welcome to Everyday Finance. After holding steady above $15,000 for more than 3 weeks in June 2025, Bitcoin is entering a new era, indicating a move from short-term hype to significant long-term accumulation. The introduction of new spot Bitcoin ETFs, one of which is associated with a significant social media company, and the unexpected decision by the U.S. government to establish a strategic Bitcoin reserve are significant catalysts. As Bitcoin becomes more and more ingrained in international finance and even national strategy, these developments are propelling institutional adoption and creating a strong price floor. Max Keiser goes deeper in an engaging interview with Bitcoin Magazine, outlining his vision of the Bitcoin singularity, a time when trading Satoshis will become as easy and natural as exchanging ideas, erasing the distinction between communication and value. Keiser compares the fluid movement of starlings in synchronized flight to Bitcoin consciousness, which he describes as a form of digital harmony in which all participants are a part of a collective flow. His message goes beyond price. It explores how Bitcoin has the potential to radically alter human interaction, trust, and connection. Keiser's viewpoint contributes a thought-provoking element to the discussion as the story of Bitcoin continues. To progress from simple speculation to social and philosophical change, this is about consciousness, community, and the future of value. It's no longer just about charts. For additional insights from Max Keiser's exclusive interview, stay tuned. Please hit the bell, like, and subscribe for more in-depth coverage of Bitcoin.
Well, I always say, the price is the least interesting part about Bitcoin. And if you're looking for a better price signal, a better signal in terms of what it's all about, look at the hash rate, because it tells you how much of a commitment people are making to the network. And that has pretty much just been in a consistent bull market for the whole time that Bitcoin's been around. The price is volatile, but the hash rate keeps going up. Just hit a new all-time high. So, that's to give you comfort in terms of owning Bitcoin. It's not, think about the energy industry for a second. So when energy prices are down, you say the rig count or the amount of money people are throwing into drilling energy goes down too. So the rig count goes down. There are layoffs. The cities disappear. Because the price is down. With Bitcoin, it doesn't matter what the price is. The hash rate keeps going up. People just keep throwing money at this network no matter what the price is. And I think that's the way you got to think of it. If you're stacking Bitcoin, it doesn't matter what the price is. It's just, you just have to keep stacking. So the price is directionally, obviously, it's going to continue to go up. What's the Keiser going to be, or the compounded annual return? I think it's roughly 60% now. I think there's an expectation that it'll stay at the 50 to 60% range for a while. Obviously, the new money coming in is huge. I think that, on the other side, being a stockbroker myself for many years, of course, you have to look at the risk, any possible risk of anything. And, you mentioned the president of the United States is looking at Bitcoin and his team, but they're also looking at a lot of other junk out there. So, and that's always been a drag on the Bitcoin price, is the presence of garbage. And so they're going to have to go through that whole process that everyone goes through, where, you have to get through your own. Somebody said on this call earlier that Bitcoin is a reflection of who you really are, and so is golf. And I think that's true. And so either this big money comes to an understanding about who they really are, and they understand what Bitcoin is all about, or we're just going to give birth to 10,000 versions of Craig Wright, and all the psychosis that comes with that. I hope that's not the outcome. I hope, I believe Bitcoin will always prevail for those who who can see it for what it really is. And, at this point, I'm hopeful that the large institutions that are entering the space don't turn out to be just larger versions of Craig Wright. As I said, I read the essay, which kicked everything off. And then when we joined up with Chris and Frida, then, the actual organization of it started to kick in, and it just started to come together in a way that was it went from the idea to the execution of the idea very quickly. Like within a few days, we were executing. And they say that having ideas is easy, but execution is hard. And so, I have ideas every single day. I have 10 ideas a day. I'm not necessarily great on execution, but with Chris and Frida, though, on the execution side, they're brilliant. And so that's what really is the big difference, that this is what made it at the end of the day. When the tournament started, I was looking at my phone, and I'm in like 20 different chats for this tournament. And I'm figuring, okay, this is going to blow up any second now with 100,000 different problems. And I didn't see a single problem, except for one sponsor had one of their names on one placard was not visible. That was fixed in 5 minutes. That is amazing. Every single thing I've ever been involved with before comes with a lot of problems. This is the first thing that I've ever been involved with that had virtually no problems. So it was a total easy for me. So and Stacy. So we again, hats off to Chris and Frida.
El Salvador is making a strong statement that Bitcoin is the future and that everything else is irrelevant by investing heavily in it. The nation has presented a daring two-pronged plan. First of all, it's stating that Bitcoin is the only digital asset that counts, not just accepting it as legal tender. Second, it is establishing a clear legal boundary by formally designating all other cryptocurrencies as unregistered securities in accordance with recently enacted laws. As a result, Bitcoin is the only digital currency accepted by the state. A recently established Bitcoin office that reports directly to the president is at the heart of this movement, marking a record degree of executive support. However, this revolution is not limited to government structures. El Salvador is integrating Bitcoin and sound money concepts into the curriculum from the ground up by starting financial education programs for children as young as 7. Latin America is taking notice of this potent blend of high-level policy and grassroots education. With neighboring nations like Panama keeping a close eye on things, El Salvador's strong Bitcoin-first stance may have a cascading effect on other nations, forcing them to follow suit or fall behind. This could be the catalyst for the next significant Bitcoin boom, so it's more than just a change in national policy. As we delve deeper into Max Keiser's ongoing interview and examine the potential implications of El Salvador's audacious experiment for the global cryptocurrency scene, stay tuned. For more insights...
All right, so it started at the Bitcoin conference in Nashville, and I met Rocky and Trey and Joe, I think, and they had written this essay making a comparison between golf and Bitcoin and being low time preference pursuits. And we had just moved into the El Encanto Country Club in El Salvador, and I had talked to the owners of the club about starting a golf tournament at some point. And so I brought this up to Trey and Rocky, maybe we should do an event in El Salvador at this country club. And they put me in touch with Chris and Frida. And then Chris flew down just a few days later to check out the club. And it was a Monday. They're not opened on Monday. And it was kind of rainy, but he went out there intrepidly, played some golf, and he came back very enthusiastic by the course, thought it was a really fun course. He described it as a video game. I myself, I hardly have any experience with golf at all, really. I'm just starting to get back into it after a 45-year break. And so, his enthusiasm, was high. So then we went to work. So the whole thing really was, from concept to execution, was like 5 months, which is amazing. The club was great in helping us out. It turned out the club was very well suited for this type of event. I kind of had in my mind beyond just the golf tournament, because I noticed other golf tournaments happening at the club. And when the golfers are out on the course, the clubhouse is basically empty. And to me, that seemed like that's a lot of wasted space. Like there's something you can do with that space. So we kind of got into this idea piece by piece, talking to Chris, talking to Frida about, well, how could we build that out? And we ended up with the stage and some sound system. And so it became like a mini conference almost. So we had the speakers, we had the sponsors up on stage talking about all of their products and things. And it worked out pretty well because a lot of the products dovetailed well with each other. So the Casa guy, Nick Newman, his product dovetailed with the Cold Card and other sponsors where you can use actually on the Casa platform. So all the community of how these products work together, which I've never seen at a conference before. It's generally quite more abstract. And so that was kind of fun. And the food was great. Rick Chef, who is the executive chef at the club, is really passionate about his food, and the food was great. They went above and beyond with the food. We had a fireworks show at the end. The weather was perfect. For the month of January, it tends to be a windy month. Those 2 days at the event were really the absolute best days of the month. So we lucked out on the weather. And anecdotally, to give you kind of a fun insight into this, we had Azteca Bank as a sponsor, and they marked down 2 or 3 players to come to play the event. A few days before the event, we got word like they're doing a switch. They're swapping out their card, with some other players. So he thought, okay, sure, yeah, we can put in these new players. Well, sure enough, they won the tournament. So now, we're thinking, Ricardo, or Uncle Ricky as he's known, the guy is a shark. He sent in some pros, which is fine because pros are allowed to play. But, the jacket, the prize is basically now in Mexico. So now we have to go to Mexico, stage an event in Mexico to win back the glory of the Salvadoran golfing community. So that's what we're up to now. Yeah, I was surprised because I was making suggestions, and then, Frida was putting them into action. And then I think I did suggest a blimp at some point that would fly over the golf course or something like that. And, Frida's like, yeah, that's a great idea. I was like, so okay, there's no holds barred here. Let's keep going bigger. Let's go bigger. Well, a couple of the ideas we're going to keep under wraps for now, until we unveil them. But one idea that we started with that we didn't do this year was the Crypto Cloaks was going to do like a 25 or 30 foot version of one of their Bitcoin grenades, which is like the Max Keiser signature Crypto Cloaks grenade at the entrance of the club. And the shipping is a bit tricky into El Salvador. And then we couldn't really find reliable shipping that we felt comfortable with. So we passed on it this year. So maybe next year we'll revisit that huge Bitcoin grenade idea, which I have some history with the country, because I try to get it through the airport with a version of that in my luggage, which caused a lot of problems at the airport, the grenade size version. And so it's I'm kind of famous for trying to smuggle a grenade through the airport. And but I think that maybe revisit that. We're totally agile in that respect, and it really worked out well considering it is a country that hadn't been worked in before. You got me thinking now about, is that true? Is this the best organized thing I've ever been involved with? And the only comparable thing would be Stacy did a 10-part documentary on Bitcoin. I think, what was it called? The first 10 years of Bitcoin, I believe.
No, it's called To the Moon.
To the Moon. It's called To the Moon. It's a 10-part documentary series that was aired on RT, and it was shot in 2 days. We did 5 episodes a day, 2 days in a row. And that was an amazing production, because we ended up with this amazing 10-part documentary that was complete, and that was completely organized.
Actually,
The claim that a small number of powerful holders pose a threat to Bitcoin's decentralization is rapidly eroding. The inability of any one person or group to take control of the network or change its rules is what true decentralization is all about. Not how much Bitcoin someone owns. Bitcoin's protocol is untouchable, even if major holders banded together. This type of resistance was precisely what it was designed to withstand. The same fallacious reasoning underlies worries about centralized mining. Any miner trying to attack the network would only devalue their own investment, as game theory makes evident. The odds are stacked in favor of sincere involvement. Taking a step back, the global financial system that has been skewed since the Reagan-Thatcher era, when finance began to place more emphasis on speculation than productivity, is the backdrop for Bitcoin's rise. Among the largest facilitators, expensive cash, particularly from Japan, investors use the yen carry trade as leverage to flood markets with easy capital due to ultra-low interest rates. However, that game is evolving. Bond yields are rising, Japanese rates are rising, and the days of limitless liquidity are coming to an end. Bitcoin is becoming the best substitute in this new setting. Max Keiser responded to the question of whether it's too late to buy by saying that it's too early. Bitcoin may be our last genuine chance to fix a flawed monetary system, he said, adding that fear continues to keep most people out. We are seeing the beginning of a completely new financial era as more organizations and countries start to recognize the potential of Bitcoin. For more impactful insights from Max Keiser, share this video, hit like, subscribe, and leave a comment below.